Hey guys, today we've got a super exciting episode. We're talking mental health and reality TV, and I've managed to get a reality TV star on my episode. We'll be discussing being a black woman and going on reality TV, especially when there's love involved. She also gives me so much juicy gossip about her time on Are You the One? I hope you enjoy the episode. Let's discuss. Right. Hi, everyone. Today I'm super excited for this episode. I'm joined by the amazing Roz. Roz is a bit of everything. It's like Roz, influencer, TV star, personality, podcaster, and she works like as well. Like she does it all. I'm so grateful. What you are doing. What you're doing. So I'm so grateful that you've taken the time to have this chat with me.
I'm excited for this.
So everyone knows I like to start with a little game, and I like to do it on brand for like
Oh,
what we're talking about. Very simple, just three scenarios, but
okay.
it's a match-up game.
Oh,
Okay, so it's a match-up game because if you do not know, you should already know. Roz was on Are You the One?
okay.
It's a game show where you find your perfect match. So they do like a series of tests. Correct me if I'm incorrect on anything.
You are correct.
And they help you find your perfect match.
Mhm.
And you are supposed to find your perfect match. They put you in a house with a bunch of crazy people. You do test quizzes, and it's like
Yep.
every week there's a match-up ceremony, and you're sort of trying to dwill it down until you find your one, so you can win some money.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming from your time on the show, you probably learned some things about like what makes a match. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. We're about to find out.
Oh, well,
Obviously the good space is mostly centered around mental health, so a lot of these character traits, some of them will be related to that. So I'm
hmm
going to give you character one, character two,
okay.
no gender, just character one, character two, and a few characteristics. And you just tell me, is this a match or not a match? Would these two people work or would they not? You can expand if
Ooh.
you want to, you don't have to, because it's like three characteristics, so you don't get a lot. Don't ask like, "Oh, can I have more details?" There's no details. You have to go with what you have. Okay. Character one,
Okay.
antisocial, workaholic, but has a secure attachment style. Character two, social butterfly, goes with the flow, life of the party, has an anxious attachment style. Can they match or it wouldn't work?
I don't think that'll work. They're like opposite ends of the scale.
Yeah.
Do they have in common? See,
Sometimes people say, opposites attract, you mellow each other out.
because I feel like if you're someone who's a workaholic, you like your schedules. But if you're someone who's free flow, there's someone who doesn't. Now they could probably learn from each other, but it take a lot. Like someone's gonna have to like step back and allow the other person to lead.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. Yeah. As
Uh,
they are themselves, it wouldn't work. It would take a lot of compromise.
yeah. I said, y'all go your separate ways.
No, it's
No,
not okay.
no.
Right. Character one, short tempered, says it like it is, and has a low emotional intelligence. This person doesn't sound great at all. I mean, character two, airy fairy, majorly empathetic, but can be quite passive.
I think they could work, but won't last long.
Fair enough.
It lasts long. It worked for a little bit until the empathetic passive one gets pissed off.
Yeah.
Then it's no, yeah.
When
Ooh.
you let it brew inside and it's
You
like,
know what? I'm like, that's me.
yeah.
I'm gonna keep cool for a little while. Ooh.
And you'll be like, what happened? Where did this girl come from? Why is she screaming?
Uh-huh. Like, you didn't know this whole time you've been like this? You've been
Yeah.
doing this? Yeah, no, it won't last long.
I agree. And then the last one, character one is family orientated, kind but naive, and but very goal orientated as well.
Okay.
Character two is passive again, but kind, laid back, has goals, but isn't like a go getter, and doesn't speak to their family at all.
Oh, it was going so well, Kim. I was like, oh, this could work. Then you said the no family thing. Oh, well, it depends on how much the family orientated person feels about it. Like
Mhm.
she could adopt them or he can adopt them into their family. But I'm like, you
Mm.
need to also kind of be like understanding maybe there's a reason why they're not family orientated. Maybe there comes a little bit of drama, a little bit of trauma.
Mhm.
Maybe. So I was like, maybe that could work. Out of all the three, they're the better ones.
Yeah, right. I get. They could last with a bit of yeah.
Out.
Okay, cool.
Maybe skill up a little bit. They could figure it out.
Therapy.
Yeah. I need to start therapy. I've been saying I want to start therapy. That is my present to myself
Yeah,
next year.
please do
I
it.
like therapy. I'm here for people going to therapy. A lot of people need to fix themselves.
Yeah, no, for real, like we do. Like we do.
What do you want?
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, I might as well just get into it. Did they offer anything like I guess not because
They
it's what they
did.
say.
They
Good.
actually. So here's a funny thing actually about like TV shows. Before you go on, you do therapy. You do a little bit, and they also do like a little, what do they call it? Like a mental health screening test to see if you're actually like mentally stable enough. I don't know how well these people work because there's a lot of crazy people on
I'm
TV.
not gonna lie.
There was
I
a lot of
watched the
people
show,
on my show.
girl.
Well, girl, I'll give you the tea. There's a lot of crazy people. Like I even remember when I got there, I said, "You put a crazy person in a house with crazier people." It's like it was like a massive steam pot of like different like behaviors, characteristic traits. And I was like, a lot of people are not mentally well. I kind of just wonder, like, do people present themselves a certain way to their therapist? Like, are people actually really being honest when you're asked these questions?
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy you brought this up because it is very common. And I think this is why people say therapy doesn't work. Therapy does not work if you are a liar. If you are not ready to go
Oh,
in there and be authentic and show
yeah.
everything, it will not work. Yeah,
Yeah, because there was a lot of people there that I was like, girl, you're broken, like
yeah.
severely, severely broken. And then you kind of like exude your inner hate and you project it onto other people. So like before we went into the show, because actually as well, I also had auditions for Love Island. So I also did auditions and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And the Love Island mental screening, they're very strict. I will say they're very good. They
Mhm.
scare the hell out of you because they warn you about everything that can happen once you come out of the show, how your life can change. So they really prepare you. For my show is a lot more laid back, and they were like thinking it's because like our show isn't as intense as Love Island, which is one of the reasons why I preferred it a lot more to Love Island because I knew I'd be able to go back to normal life afterwards.
Mhm.
But because if you get like negative hate on Love Island, you
Yeah, it can change your whole life.
can really mess up a
Right.
lot of people. Like it'll not just mess up with you, but like it'll mess up with your family.
Yep.
So our show was a lot more chilled. So I had one, I think, therapy session before I went in, and he gave me like a little bit of a heads up. But it was just like it was literally like a 5 minute chat because I didn't really have much to say. But that's because I was probably one of the more saner people going in.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
definitely shows.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Like there was too many fights. I remember I got into the first fight. It just wasn't aired on TV.
I was gonna say, yeah, they probably couldn't air everything.
Three days in, and it was just from the way this guy was screaming and shouting at another girl. I was like, "Who do you think you are?" It was so bad because I was like, I couldn't just wrap my head around the way people spoke to each other, but it also made me understand the way like Americans speak and the way like the UK and Irish speak. Very different levels of understanding, very very different. But it's like I also left that being like, I'm so happy I'm not American.
They're different.
Me, it was crazy, but I even understand. I was like, some of them are free spirits and all of this stuff.
Mm.
But I started to realize people got very, very attached to each other very, very quickly. And I think it's because like reality TV is like The Sims. It's like, no, girl, I'm no joke. It's literally like The Sims. They tell you when you can eat, they tell you when you can pee, they'll tell you when you can go to certain people. Yes. So, like, a lot of the conversations are real and raw. They never, ever tell you what to say. Never.
Okay.
Because you're warned about this when you're doing your mental screening and therapy. They're like, never, ever say anything you don't feel comfortable with. So, everything everyone says, it's your choice to open your mouth and say it.
Okay.
The only thing they can do is position you in certain places. It might be like, oh, this happened today. Why don't you go talk to him about it? Because we know he's been talking about it. So they might suggest you do something, but they'll never ever tell you exactly what to do. So there was a lot of people who were like falling in deep very, very, very early. There's one girl on the show that I actually had a falling out with because I don't think she understood the concept of the fact that we were all dating each other. Like it turned, we don't even talk no more. Like yeah, girl. I won't say her name because I'm
Yeah,
nice.
that's right.
I'm
Yeah, 'cause you're so nice.
had for me on TikTok, and I'm like, girl, if you want to say the truth, let's say the whole truth. But you don't
She
want.
tried to be on TikTok.
She tried to come for me on TikTok.
Let's not do that,
She
please.
thinks I didn't see. I saw it all. Yeah,
Okay, you don't have to say, but was she black or white?
she's black.
Okay, that's fine. Thank
She's
you.
black. And girl, even now it's so funny because of her behavior now. I think the rest of us black girls all kind of look at her and we're like, there's something not right with you.
Okay.
Like, I don't think she mentally prepared herself for a dating show, realizing that all of us actually have to date each other. Even if you've dated him before, if you're not a match, he could be my match, even if we're friends. And it became a thing where it's like she was constantly crying, like constantly crying. There was a therapist on site as well. So you were able to speak to the therapist whenever you wanted. And she would constantly have to be in and out with there because I think she genuinely just couldn't handle it. But I felt like a lot of the stuff that she was dealing with came from past trauma,
Yes.
not being accepted by like the guys around her neighborhood. I remember her saying that like she was from Texas and like in Texas, black women aren't desired. Like even the black guys prefer Latinas. She was saying how she had never really been on that many dates before. So I think when she came in and had to realize she had to like someone and let them go, it was really hard for her to do. And those are the kind of things that you're not really prepared for to be on
I
TV.
mean, I would argue that if
You
you've watched
would
Are
think,
You the One, you
you
know,
you would
that
think
is the premise.
no, girl, she was crying over this boy for 3 weeks, even though he moved on to several people after. She was still hung up, as in, I went on. See, the thing is, and the thing that really annoyed me about the situation was that because I tried to be a loyal friend to her at that point, but then I also had to figure out that it was a little bit of emotional manipulation.
Right.
Because if me and him were talking, all of a sudden she pop up. There was a point where me and him actually went on a date episode, and
Okay.
I think me and her spoke the following day, and she told me she had to go to the therapist after our date episode because she couldn't like hack that like me and him went on the date and she couldn't handle it, and the therapist told her that she had to come and tell me. So it was like then it was on my conscience being like, oh well, I can't really because now I know she's sad about it.
Yeah.
Well, when roles were reversed and it was time for her to put my feelings first, she didn't.
Yeah.
She
Interesting.
didn't.
And I wonder if she went to the therapist to talk about her struggling to put your feelings first. And that's the
Oh
type of
girl,
thing we talk about in therapy.
no, she 100% did not.
Mm,
100% because it didn't matter what was going on with me. Didn't matter. It was
yeah.
all more so about her. And I get it. I was like, you do kind of have to like fight for yourself. And it's like I think those are the things that like is really really hard with reality TV, trying to sustain a friendship when you have to date people as well. Yeah, there's no
Yeah.
such thing as loyalty.
I mean, there was money involved there. Well, that kind of went against it, but it's fine.
No, no,
I
no,
will
no. You
on.
know the Nigerian in me. I remember the time.
Not, not play. I feel like you are literally a very, very small amount of contestants that will never forget. Like at the end of the day, there's money. That's what we're here for.
I
And
think
you would constantly be like,
it was really hard to like some of these people because it's like I'm not even gonna lie. I think I had like a mental breakdown in there actually one of the times, and I think this is when it was my very first times of realizing that therapy is actually very important. Did I speak to
mhm.
a therapist on site? No, I still didn't. Me being the stubborn coconut African head of mine,
Oh,
I speak
girl.
to a therapist? No. But there was a situation where there was this guy that I was really close with, but he didn't get on well with a lot of the castmates, which sort of reminded me of my own family on how it's really toxic on like both sides. And I'm always doing the mediator. And out of nowhere, Leo, I started crying out of nowhere, like properly crying. And that's when I was like, wow, I've been suppressing this for a while because I never expected it to come up here. Like, my family's nowhere here. And when you're in reality TV, you don't have your phone. There's no concept of time. So you really are within your head and your thoughts. So when it happened, it just brought something that had been harboring and hidden very deep down in me out. And I was crying for no reason.
Yeah, well, for a reason. It felt
For a
like,
reason, bro. It's just associated to what was actually
yeah. Wow. I guess that is sort of a positive then, because you would never have that time to, as you said, not be with your phone and just be in your head. Life is too busy for that.
And when you're put in a house where no one knows you, you're forced to talk about things.
Yeah.
We all learned some deep, dark things about each other. And it was because as well, we were trying to figure out why we were matched.
Yes.
So we're like, were we trauma bonded? Like, what was going on? Why, what past happened to you and happened to me? So, like, things we never thought we would have to talk about, we ended up having to talk about. So, like, you'd have one of the guys there had to, like, the first guy got into a fight with, bless him. He was in the Marines or something along those lines, in the army, something. And when we got into the argument, he said that when I raised my voice, it kind of just brought him back to when his mom used to shout at him. So he jumped into defense mode.
Mhm.
And then because I also didn't understand that he was in the army at this point, I didn't know. He came back and he was like, "Yes, ma'am." And I was like, "Who you giving that attitude to?" And then it kind of still kept on triggering him because that was his trauma. So when we had the argument, we didn't understand this about each other. But then later on in the evening, when things had cooled down and we kind of had to like sit down and talk, because where you going? We're stuck here for 6 weeks. I have to talk to you. You could be my match. And he was telling me everything that happened. And I was like, that's how I started to get an understanding of him. And I was like, ah, but that's also how I knew I wasn't his match. Because I was like, I give you a headache the whole
Yeah.
time because I'm loud. If your trauma is shouting, I'm a shouter and I'm like,
Not gonna work.
trauma for you, no match. That's literally how I figured out it couldn't be a match. I said they wouldn't do that to you, baby. They wouldn't put you with me.
You were touching on before, you said, you know, you were talking about someone who you didn't name, and they had that issue with being from Texas and not
Yeah.
being a Okay, so before you went on, because you also said you auditioned for Love Island and Are You the
Yeah.
One? And we know, unfortunately, as beautiful as we are, Black women tend to have issues on reality TV with finding their love interests. Was that on your mind before at all? Or were you like, whatever?
100%. Even with my show, even though I did kind of have, I wouldn't even call it a romance because it nearly, I feel like what happened between me and him was nearly like it had to happen because at this stage we're trying to figure out who the match was. It wasn't something like organic. But
Mhm.
even on our show, there was no guys who had dated a Black woman. Out of the 11 men there, not one had dated a Black woman, but all 4 of us Black girls had dated a white person.
Even the black boy from London? Or
Even
was he London?
London girl. Even the Black boy from London and the other mixed race one from Birmingham.
Yeah.
Ghanaian.
He was Ghanaian, right?
Half Ghanaian, quarter. Is it half? Yeah, he's quarter Ghanaian, half Jamaican, and a quarter white. Yeah, his mom is half Ghanaian, half English, and then his dad is Jamaican. Yep, girl.
They could have checked that before, but anyway.
You know, that's something else they really need to do because I think it did play a lot in our heads with the Black girls. One of our girls had a thing with one of the guys, and the whole time people were like, "Yeah, he's not into you. He's not into you," and she kept on thinking, "But why can't he be into me? Why?" There was one of the Black guys, one of the 2 of them, girl, they refused to not talk to me for 2 weeks because they thought that I was too loud and aggressive. For 2 weeks of that show, he avoided me like the plague. Like if I spoke, he walked away over an argument because he said I was raising my voice, but there was 3 people raising their voices, but the only person that they had a problem with was a Black girl. The 2 white boys, they were fine, even though they started it. I was trying to deflate the situation. That's why I raised my voice, but they didn't care. No, I was the problem. That played with me mentally. I think there was also another character who actually he said, well, if his perfect match was a Black girl, he wouldn't know what to do because he's not. Yeah, sis, this is all the stuff that we were listening to. That and like it was so sad because it reached a point where I was like, what's the point? I was like, if this person is my perfect match, you don't like Black girls. There was even one who actually said in the very few first episodes, he was like, oh, I know I'm going to end up with a blonde.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you the blonde hair, blue eyes. Yeah, he kept saying it like, I love blondes.
It's
I was
not my perfect match.
again, that was gonna be a question for you. Like, how did you deal with that? Because he was in love the whole time.
What is mad? The only reason why I don't hate on it is because
Because
they're
they're
still
together.
in love. And I'm not gonna lie, I got to know him towards the end of it, and he's actually a good guy. I just don't think I was his type, and that's okay. Like that's fine, but just don't go on an international dating show.
I feel like that's on production. And
That's
again, I was gonna ask you, but you've already
but,
answered the
but
question.
it could also be a thing where they lie to production.
Mm.
You could just turn around and say, yeah, yeah, I'm into black girls. Yeah, yeah, I've dated. Like there was one person who I think kept on saying black queen, but yet you never chased after
No,
no black.
Roslyn, sorry. It's literally no, I need to show you. Oh my god, it's at the top. Black Queens question mark. Because I was like, no, from when he said it in the first episode, from when he said that, I was like, I already know. Because you're doing too much.
He was one of the nicer ones to us. Do I think he was really attracted to many of us? No. Because apart from like the first episode where he did have a kiss when we were praying, was it like Truth or Dare or whatever it was?
Yeah.
After that, there was never a thing with any of the black girls. But this is a little insider scoop. Yeah, he did get with one of the black girls on a one night stand situation after the show happened. He doesn't know I know, but I don't like people try to beef me, but forget I got info. I think when she also said it, this girl said, she was like, I got invited to speak on a podcast. And she was like, you're just mad because you didn't get invited. Well, girl, I'm on a podcast too. And now I'm
You first of all, you have your own podcast, sis.
yeah, that's true. That's true. But you know, do it on my own podcast. Them call me petty. I'm petty though. I am petty. I would do it. I would do it on another podcast.
Oh,
Yeah. Crazy.
do you know what? And it's like, you know, when I know someone's unproblematic, like as you said, you can be petty, but that's like in retaliation. So it's
Like I tend to not look for beef or drama. And
Mhm.
the thing about me is like, if I can see that you don't care about me, I'm gonna put myself first, whether you like it or not. And then
Love
that's where I start to stay distant.
Mhm.
So it's a case where by the time I started to put myself first, she didn't like how I was handling things. She felt like she was betrayed, forgetting that she came for me first. That's the funny thing. That's the funny thing. It's like if we're gonna speak the truth, I can be a grown woman and admit my actions hurt you. I can apologize for my actions hurting you. I'm not gonna apologize for putting myself first because my reasoning for putting myself first is because it was genuinely, it wasn't to backstab you. It
Yeah.
was to put myself first because I didn't want to be associated with something. So I kept the truth from her. But I kept the truth from everybody. As in I didn't tell nobody nothing because I didn't want nobody to know. She was mad because I kept the truth from her. But I was like, girl, it's not like I lied to you and told everyone else the truth. I told nobody nothing.
Yeah.
Nobody. So get over yourself. Whereas you intentionally did what you did. And I still even let that go because I still thought, I was like, we were put in a crazy situation.
Yes.
Been on an island for 6 weeks talking to the same people. Because even when you fight, you still have to talk to them. I was like, that's not normal. Like in real world, if someone does you dirty, you get to walk away. You don't have to deal with it again tomorrow. You can decide to block this person and never speak to them again. You can't do that where we were. So I even let it go because this was a once in a lifetime experience. But something I've learned from her is that like not everyone is healed on the inside. And if you're going to constantly bring up something that triggers you and traumatizes you, get therapy and fix it. And if you can't fix it, distract yourself from thinking about it or something. I don't know. Stop picking on people because it's jobless.
I agree.
So much more going on in my life that I thank God for, that I'm able to be grateful for. But for me to sit down and pick on someone over and over and over again, it's given I'm the one who has the problem. I need to sort myself out. I should focus on the amazing things in front of me instead of this small, tiny, minuscule thing that happened so long ago. The fact we won money, girl, you ain't even happy about that?
Right?
We won it because of me, because her dumb ass couldn't figure it out. Me and Jordan, shout out Jordan, the black, and it's so funny because we were the least liked.
Yeah.
And I felt like towards the show, a lot
Because
of
you
guys
be
didn't like
least
us.
liked, Roz.
Yeah, we were the least liked. We thought we were problematic. They really thought we were problematic. I remember there's one time like a bunch of the guys were sat down together and I decided to have a conversation with them and they were like, "Oh, you're friend zoning yourself, Rosalind." I was like, "We're not here to find our perfect match, but I'm friend zoning." They would find any reason to say certain things. And so it reached a point where I was like, "Okay, I understand it. Y'all ain't attracted to me. That's cool. I need to win my money." Like
Yeah.
this was when I snapped and I was like, the tunnel vision is real.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's, girl, I had to start explaining to these people what like probability is. I was like, if we've got one beam and you were a match, nobody else is a match. Switch it up. Then they didn't listen and they would stick to the same people over and over again. The only person who kind of like fucked heavy with the black girls was Eduardo. But that was because he was Latino as well. I think like we had a great friendship. He was one of the few
Yeah.
who felt really fucked with the black girls in the show. Now a lot of us don't all talk after the show for different reasons, but in the show, I gotta give the boy credit. He really kept me sane. He
Mm.
kept me sane. He never made me feel like I was unattractive because I was a black girl. We
I
knew
agree
from
with
the
that.
very beginning that we weren't a match, like straight away. But I won't lie, a lot of the other guys didn't start even picking me until towards the end. So there was this thing that you did where it was like you would have to sometimes give your top threes. They would be
Yeah.
like, "So who's your top three?"
Yeah.
And the guys would come out and be saying your top three, and you would have to sit there and listen to
Mm.
your name not being mentioned. Constantly having to hear yourself not be mentioned as being in someone's top three. And then when you then call out my name on stage, I know you're not choosing me, but I'm
Yeah.
supposed to still want to talk to you and
Yeah.
and open up. No, go away.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds so similar because I was hoping to come with Under the Guise that, like, you know, from what I could see in the beginning because I remember on the first day you made an episode saying, "Until I dressed up tonight, it's like none of you even realized I'm attractive." So I was thinking, okay, but as it moved on, I was thinking, okay, no, she's getting a bit more into
Yeah,
it.
because I really feel like that was the day I remember stepping out and being in that dress, and everyone was like, and I was like, I've looked like this the whole time.
Mm.
Yeah, I was like, there was another girl as well, Do. She had guys as well say it as well that she wasn't that attractive, and she was a Spanish girl. So it was like certain things we had to like constantly listen to. But it was like if I sat there and started nitpicking on this man, I'd be like, your hairline's receding. You're that. You wouldn't like it, but none of the girls ever did that.
Yeah.
Never did it. Like I'm girl, I kid you not, it was really hard to like them, like a lot of the guys that way. A lot of it would be friendship now.
Yes.
Like but it was really hard in there to try figure out your perfect match because I really don't think a lot of these people were honest with themselves going into it. I definitely feel like the girls were a lot more willing and open to find love than the guys were.
Yeah.
I'm sure people came for their own reasons and their agendas.
Yeah.
Girl, let me give you a little bit of tea. There was a guy on our show who said he was a doctor.
I know who you're talking about. Sorry.
Doctor.
I'm not gonna lie. He gave me vibes.
From in the villa, I always knew there was something sus.
Yeah.
But I never knew I didn't realize how bad it was. Girl, when we got out the show, his fiance messaged us.
As in ring.
She sent me a photo of the ring. He hit it well. So this is why I say it's not all the time the producers. You can't blame the show and the
Of
producers for that.
course.
How will they ever know? I will genuinely say the producers were very, very nice. They treated us so, so
That's
well. They were
good.
so kind. I can never say one thing bad about like Paramount or the producers who worked on the show because I genuinely felt like they treated us well. Like I could, especially we had this one producer, Josh. I could go up to him and talk to him about anything, anything, and he would give you advice to the best of your knowledge. I felt like they genuinely cared about us. But
Oh,
it's like the people who were actually in the villa, how much did they really care
yeah.
about people? Because they didn't act like that.
So would you say in regards to like race into for Love Island, are you the one? Big Brother, even when it's not about love, you think it would be it's less about the producers vetting the people, it's about people being honest about their preferences and who they're
Be
I
honest.
hate to say but comfortable being around or yeah.
Just be honest. I feel like people aren't honest because they feel like if you turn around and say you're not into a certain type, you're not going to be picked. Just be
Mm,
honest. No one says that. Who's to say they wouldn't have picked your type to bring in for you?
yeah.
That's it. I genuinely think it's the producers can only do so much. Like,
Hmm.
okay, the only thing I can say they could probably do on their side is maybe go into their followers
Yeah.
and see who and then you get a little bit of an idea. But apart
Yeah.
from that, how else would they know? Because we're asked these questions.
Yeah.
We're
Okay.
dated interracially. I was asked, how do you feel if your partner likes animals? And they were like, tell me what your type is. Just be honest. I was like, I want someone who's family orientated. And I even remember in the interviews, the girl was like, how do you feel about dogs? My perfect match had a dog that was like 6'4" when it stood up. You know those giant dames. I was like, yeah, I was like, I'm all right with dogs. When he told me his dog was a human sized dog, I was like, nah, y'all got me fucked up. Y'all got me fucked up. I was like, that's not a dog.
That's something else.
Not a dog. That's a wolf. Like, behave yourself.
Oh my God. So would you say, with Love Island, I'm not sure how far you got into it, but did they ask questions about race as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
They
So
ask you your
people are
type.
lying.
They ask,
People are lying.
yeah. They
Peop-
will ask you exactly what your type is.
Mhm.
So you'll know. They'll ask you what like your celebrity crushes are. They'll be like, give us your 3 celebrity crushes. I was like, Michael B. Jordan. I was like, yeah. I said Justin Bieber. I was like, I've always loved that little white boy. I'm still obsessed. So like they do ask you these things, but it's like I honestly just genuinely feel like people aren't honest. They're not honest. And even if they're not honest, they're not open-minded.
Yes. That
Yeah.
is so unfair because it doesn't ruin the experience for the liar because there's always going to be blonde hair, blue eyed girls in there. It ruins the experience for the ethnic minorities in there.
It's hard. It is so hard. It's like not even being chosen by your own.
Yeah.
Like the girls really only had each other when they were in there, or you watch the same guys fondle over the same girls. Or like they'd even be falling over the problematic girls before they would choose an ethnic person.
Mhm.
Or like they'd be like, oh, I dated this one black girl when I was like in primary school, and you'd be like, that don't count.
Are you
That don't count. And I was another thing is I think I was so unapologetically black. I had my afro out. I didn't care.
good?
I was switching up the wigs. I was
Good.
like, you gonna see me, you gonna see all of me.
Good.
But I don't think there was any guy there who would have been able to handle it, able to understand the African. The only person who I felt understood me to a certain extent was Mikey, who was partially Ghanaian and Jamaican. Like he'd
Mhm.
been to Ghana, he was well
Yeah.
traveled. So he was out of all the guys, someone I thought understood me the most, which is why me and him got on so well. But like a lot of the other guys, no. And then a lot of them didn't believe how smart we were because it was me and Jordan who figured it out towards the end that we were gonna win. Because a lot of the times like we were arguing, we would say stuff and people wouldn't listen, people
Wouldn't
wouldn't believe.
listen.
But it wasn't towards the end of it. You see me and Jordan, like Jordan was the one who came with the logic
Yeah.
tree. I remembered a lot of places where people were sitting.
Yeah.
So we were able to go back and put it in place. So
Yeah.
it wasn't like towards the end of it where people were actually like, okay, yeah, she was low key right. Like
Yeah.
I remember when the show was airing, I was reading people's comments being like, yes, she is aggressive. Yes, she is this. Now I had a lot of black women who stood up for me and who was like, no, she's not shouting, she's not cursing. But there were still people who was like, no, she just thinks she's so smart. But at the end of the day, I was right.
I mean, and this is how I know it's microaggression because I feel like watching it, a theme I saw a lot of the time, you were like boosting morale. You were doing like, hey guys, like, let's have a great day. Guys, this is going like you were very positive. So I don't see how you can see that edit and be like, oh my god, yeah, she is. But even when you are saying, listen, we need to be doing things this way. For me, I can see it's coming from a place of passion. Also, I want my money.
Thank you. Because that was actually that was the reason why I got into my first fight because someone was screaming at someone. I was like, no, no, no. It's like that's what we're not gonna do. We're all a bit intoxicated now. Let's have this conversation while we're sober. I was like, come on, guys, you got this. So when I got called out on stage for I can't even remember exactly what he said. I think what I said was that the tone vision is real. And he responded back saying, this is why no one talks to you because you're terrifying.
Terrifying. Yes, use the word terrifying.
And he called me terrifying.
Yeah.
Like he has spoken to me since then, and that was fine. Like we were pretty okay. But where it was that it actually made me take a massive step back, because a lot of us unfollowed each other. Well, they unfollowed me. I only unfollowed them once they unfollowed me. But I think they were expecting me to come to the rescue and tell the world he wasn't racist. Like, yeah, they wanted me to come out and say he wasn't racist. And because like I had spent some time with him, and we had actually like we spent Christmas and New Year's together and all that kind of stuff, and things were okay. And like he treated me very kindly and all of this stuff. But then when the show came out and you had the opportunity to go out and be like, you know what, I was wrong for calling her terrifying. Me and Roz are cool. We spent Christmas together. I completely take it back. She's a great girl. You don't say any of that, but you want me to come online and say you're not racist? Huh? I never called you terrifying, sir. You called me terrifying. I said the tunnel vision was real. I said, even when you play the clip, you're cursing, not me.
Yeah.
But I'm the one who was pictured terrifying.
Yeah.
I was like, you're always trying to make me look like the angry black girl. And that was when like I took the massive step back, because like I even remember one of the girls messaged me, because I put out a little statement because I could see he was getting a lot of messages. So I
Yeah,
put a
yeah.
little
I
statement
saw
out.
it.
And I was like, oh no, me and him are okay. Don't message him, nothing mean, nothing like that. But then I started to notice is like he had like a company that does like influencing and things like that. He was writing stuff for other people and he would share it. So he wrote like little stories on all of us. So we all had to send him this stuff and he juiced it up. But then he would start resharing people's stuff. He didn't reshare mine.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, but you want me to come out online and tell people you're not racist, but here you are avoiding to mention my name because you're afraid of the backlash of something you said. I never said it.
I find it so interesting how people find it more offensive to be called racist than to do racist shit. It's so odd.
Well, maybe if you didn't pick on me. And it was like, and you know, this was even the maddest thing, Leo. I had a conversation with him that day because he was another person that was avoiding speaking to a lot of the girls. He had more of a bromance in the show than actually talking to a lot of the girls. And one of the days we actually sat down and I was like, we haven't spoken and we've been here for about two weeks. And he was like, oh, but you never call me. And I was like, there's been several times where I've had to try, like I've tried talking to you and you've run off somewhere. So we sat down on the chair and we spoke about it. And he was telling me reasons why he thought I couldn't be his perfect match. Because he was saying that like I was quite like dominant, I was quite loud, and he's a lot more quieter and all this stuff. And I said to him, I was like, I am the way I am because I don't have anyone to fall back on. Like, I feel like this is a lot of Black women. I was like, I don't live with my family. I can't just sit around and expect people to do stuff for me because I don't have people around to do it for me. I got to get up and do it myself. So when I'm coming with all this passion, it's not anger. It's just I like getting things done. I was like, I would love a man to take some stuff off my hands. I would love to trust somebody so I could just chill. Like, I opened up to him about it that same day. In the evening, I'm terrifying.
So you weren't listening. You were listening, but you weren't understanding. You weren't
No.
getting it.
And that's it. And like a lot of people used to say it on the show. I think the producers said it a lot of the time. They were like, Rosalind is so misunderstood. Like
God.
even the host would say it several times because towards the end of it, like I would say it all the time how people would avoid me. And at the end, I think one of the last questions she asked me was, how do you feel now? Because you can see you were always misunderstood. Because towards the end of it, people could see I was correct. I was right. The things I was saying were correct. People just didn't like being wrong.
Yeah.
Or didn't like the fact that maybe they thought I was tearing their relationships apart. I was not going home broke.
Yeah.
I wasn't leaving with a man.
Yeah.
So I was leaving with money. I was leaving with something.
Yeah.
You know? Crazy.
So like what I find interesting though is that it didn't seem like a lot of them were even there for love themselves. So what is it? They just wanted to have fun.
The girls were definitely there for the chances of love. The boys,
Okay.
I think a lot of them enjoyed the free holiday. I really genuinely think what it was because there was a lot of bromances. Yeah. The boys loved themselves a lot more than they loved the girls. 100%. I genuinely feel like a lot of the girls there were openly willing to try.
Yeah.
But a lot of the guys weren't. they weren't really on it. Like I think after the show, we had a couple of people date. There's two couples that are still together. So you have Hamoudi and MJ and Leo and Brooke.
Yeah.
Yeah, their relationships are strong. And it's so I kind of look like Hamoudi and MJ, even in the beginning of the show, didn't gravitate towards each other.
Yeah.
But the end, they did. And they're still here a whole year later.
Cute.
Damn.
Cute.
Good for them.
Yeah, I like there's some sort of authentic relationships and you can know that it does work. It's just being black on reality TV. It doesn't matter what the angle of the game is. It just seems to be so tough. Being a black woman, sorry, I have to be because it is different.
Yeah, like I think we even spoke it on our podcast. Oh, because girl, this has been crazy.
Mhm.
We had someone send us in a question saying, "Why do black men hate black women? Do you hate your moms?" We didn't ask the question, you know. Well, I said on the podcast that I think it depends on where in the world.
Okay, yeah, okay.
If you're in Africa,
Yeah.
African men with, even in the UK, there's a lot of black men with black women.
Yep.
I think in America it's a little bit harder.
Yeah.
There's gonna be certain parts. But the girls decided to like sit down and talk about the things that like they had to go through, having to even sit down and start to figure out if black men even like you.
Yeah.
Or are they more into like Eurocentric, Afrocentric babes? Girl, if you see the comment section, girl,
Going in, right?
going in. I think the video has something like over 60,000 views, over 1,000 comments, people dropping all the statistics, but you will still have the black men, tearing us apart. I think we had another video where I was talking about like interracially dating, because I've dated white, I've dated black. I don't care who you date for love. That's all I ask for.
Mhm.
But I made a point saying that like if you're going to date interracially, right? Don't date someone who dogs their own race,
Yes.
because that is giving self-hatred to me. So the way I explain it is that if you as a black man want to date a Caucasian person, just don't dog us black women.
Yes.
Girl, come and see the comments below. Black women are the most unattractive. That's why black men don't like you.
Thank you.
Oh, black women are the least likely to be married. Black women are this. You dog us all the time. I was like, I didn't even mention anything bad about black men. I said, just don't insult me. And you've come to my comment section to continue to insult black women.
Help it. Oh, Jesus.
You're proving my point right. I said, just leave us alone.
Oh, it's an epidemic. It's bad. I'm sorry. I don't know. It's really bad. It's really, really
We
bad.
even brought it up to one of our Canadian friends recently because we were like, talk to us about what life is like on that side of the world. And he kind of made a point where he said that like, he feels like it's kind of like become a thing where like it's easier to join people and gang up against the most hated than also being hated as well. So if a bunch of people don't like black women, it's easier to join on and also attack the black women than actually stand up for them. That's what I got from what he said. I'm sure he's something else.
No,
that's what I picked up from that.
I agree. Because don't you even think maybe like going back to the Are You the One house, there might have been one or two that were like, no, I actually do like, but I don't want to be the person that's like
maybe
attracted to the black girl. And when everyone's made it clear and we've been having lad chats, and it's like, they're not really our type.
Maybe because even when I had that confrontation on stage, you saw no one said anything to stand up for me.
Yeah, but
when we got back into the house, that's when most people sat down and they listened. They were like, "Oh yeah, maybe she's right," but no one stood up for me.
Yeah,
except Jordan,
yeah,
the black girl, the other black girl.
Yeah. Jordan was American as well, right?
Was American. Julia Ruth didn't stand up for me because she was already out of the villa, so she didn't know a lot of what was going on.
Yeah,
it wasn't until when we came outside that she was like, "Raw, so this is what happened."
Yeah.
Jordan was the other black girl in there who stood up and said something.
Okay. And you know there was I think she was black, right? The girl from New Zealand.
Julia Ruth, her.
Yeah, okay, she was black. And do you feel like she got the same sort of treatment?
She figured out who her perfect match was quite earlier on, but she kind of did have a thing with one of the black guys, but I don't think he treated her the way she deserved.
Yeah.
He showed that he cared, but how much did he really care? Because how long did it last? You know?
Yeah.
And she's someone who had really gone through it. And she she was a little bit triggered by who her match was supposed to be. But she handled it so amazingly and she
Yeah,
was like willing. I think when it came to her with the show, she's someone who has lived several lives. Like if I begin to tell you Julia Ruth's story, she's
yeah,
a walking miracle. So she was
yeah.
adopted, I think, when she was like 6 months old. The person she got adopted by ended up dying from a stroke a few years later. So she got readopted by his daughter. So he had a daughter who then took Julia Ruth in. So she's already dealt with so much loss in her life. Then
Yeah.
she moved to New Zealand where there's no black people.
Okay, so she's not. So she migrated to New
So
Zealand.
she's originally South African. She's originally South African, then moved to New Zealand, a place that's predominantly white.
Yeah.
So she was like even saying like, because she does modeling and stuff. So like whenever like they had to pick someone of ethnic minority, she was most likely always chosen because there wasn't
Yeah.
there any.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's kicking ass now in the UK, living her best life. She just danced
Yeah.
with 50 Cent on tour. She's doing amazing. I'm so proud of the girl.
Good.
She was someone I think that like I think she has done therapy and stuff because of everything that she's been through. She was someone who was very put together, knew herself.
I
She
liked her energy.
her. She was someone else that was very easy to get on with. It was just unfortunate she didn't get to spend as much time in the house with.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
I'm closer to her now outside the house. She's probably I think the person I'm closest to from the
Oh,
show. She's just a great all around person. Yeah.
I love
Okay,
that.
Julia Ruth. Good girl.
That. At least there was, unfortunately, as you said, she wasn't in the house as long. But
Yeah.
I think when someone gets you, especially in a situation like, okay, I'm not completely mad, someone understands me.
There was a point where she had that, and I remember pulling her aside, and I was like, "Baby, we're black. Snap out of it." I was like, "They're not gonna have this black girl on TV acting like this. Snap out of it." I was like,
Yeah,
"You're stronger than this. You've been through so much worse." And she snapped straight out of it and got back on. I was like, "Yeah." Like
so sad
we were
though.
there for each other, 100%, 100%.
Glad that that's what it's got to be. Like we are not extended the same grace. We cannot slip up. We
Mm.
cannot be emotional. We cannot be. It, oh gosh, it's so frustrating.
It's tiring,
Yeah,
but it's like I wouldn't trade it for anything. Still, you know,
obviously.
I love
Yeah,
I
I love
love
it
I love it.
so
I would
much.
not
Watch
trade
her.
it for anything, and it's
Mm,
like I know it's hard for us, but we are so much stronger. Like
yeah,
so much stronger. We don't buckle over very easily.
yeah,
It'd be nice if it was a little bit easier, but
yeah. I
it
agree.
makes us who we are.
Okay. And just speaking of so much stronger, is there anything which probably sounds like a lot, but if you could just narrow it down, like something you've taken away from this experience that you'll hold on to for the rest of your life? Like,
It's definitely giving people grace and understanding. Like, I think it's very easy for us to judge the exterior because, like, I did it a lot as well. Like, I would automatically think this person was an asshole or this person did this. But when you sit down and you hear the things people have been through, like, one of the guys on the show, his dad commit suicide. There was one who had lost a baby. There was one who was married and divorced. There was a girl who had a boyfriend who had 3 babies on her, constantly cheated on her. There's a girl who had lost her father, the guy who was in the army. Hamudi escaped from Iraq.
yeah,
Eduardo was raised by single women. He doesn't have his dad in his life. All of us had so many hard stories growing up. So whenever people react to certain things, you need to give them grace. Like I would even use like the Nella Rose situation as an example. I know people are coming hard for Nella. And I would say the reason why I'm saying extend grace is because she can extend grace and grace should be extended onto her.
agreed. Agreed. Completely. Like, I agree completely. And I think that actually sums up so well with what we've been discussing. Just being in that environment and everything you said, all these issues you've had during the taping of the show, I could
Yeah.
have asked you what you've taken away, and you could have been like, "Don't trust people. People are fake," and you said no. Extend grace.
Yeah.
That's what you have decided. That despite everything that's gone on, that's what I've taken away, and I'm going to hold on to. And I feel like that just speaks to your character a lot.
Oh, thank you.
So hold on to that, even though people be mad. We rise above.
I'm here working, trying to get my money up. Y'all can stay mad over there. I'm gonna be successful over here and at peace.
Yeah, period.
Just keep watching, share some love, comment, share, subscribe, the whole thing.
Who's that? Listen to her.
The influence.
Thank you so much, Roz. Oh, you were amazing.
So much fun.
Good. Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning into this episode. If you enjoyed it, make sure you give us a like, leave a comment, share your opinions, let me know what else you want me to discuss on the podcast, and make sure you subscribe so you know when the next episode's out. Thank you.